Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thank you for watching. So I've got you guys an update on a pretty big storm system that's currently moving across the central United States, and it will continue to grow in size as it moves off to the east, and it'll be dumping inches of snow over portions of the Midwest and the Mid-Atlantic. I've also got you guys an update on what we could expect going forward as we get into the second half of February. All the details coming right up. All right, so thank you all for joining me here on this Thursday evening. We don't have much to talk about, but we do have that snowstorm, as you can see, moving across the central United States, and we're going to be talking about just our pattern going forward as we enter the second half of February. All right, so let's get started here. Take a look at your current radar. You got three things going on. One, all right, here in the Northeast, we've been tracking a just a winter storm in general here. Nothing too bad, but you've got winter weather that's been happening in this area here. You can see that we've got a pretty small storm system that has been bringing some lake effect snow. Some bands of lake effect snow have started to form there across portions of near areas near Lake Erie, back towards Lake Superior. All right, and also off of Lake Ontario, we're just seeing all the lakes here getting in on some lake effect snow there. All right, but everyone in the Northeast getting a pretty nice just, dusting of snow if you're farther south. But if you're up into the interior Northeast, you're talking about a snowstorm. We're going to be talking about totals and just what you can expect going forward with that. All right, now moving on here to the central United States. This is what I've been tracking the most. This is what, everybody's watching, is the second storm system that could dump a few inches of snow, and I think that some areas maybe have a shot up to 10 inches of snow. So a pretty major storm system there. And then finally, third, we have a storm entering the west. Nothing too crazy with that as well. Just some rain and some snow out there in Oregon. All right. And then other than that, we're pretty much dry for the most part. Some Gulf storms down there on the coastal regions of Texas. But other than that, we are good for the most part. So take a look here at your alerts. All right, you can see that we're pretty active in the Northwest. We're pretty active in the Northeast. We'll start in the Northeast here. So starting out here in this kind of tannish brown shade, you've got wind advisories. It's been very windy in this area. I know Severe Storm Filmer. All right, he does great weather updates too. All right, but he uploaded a video today, and there were some pretty gusty. He was showing some pretty gusty winds out there into central Ohio. So shout out to him for making that video. All right, but we've got very gusty winds throughout portions of central, northern, and southern Pennsylvania. So really most of Pennsylvania, all the way up through New York State. A lot of New York State here, upstate, and even into central and southern New York State. We have those wind advisories that goes into central and western Massachusetts, as well as northern Connecticut, and into southern New Hampshire. All right, so just please be aware that there will be some trees down. Some spotty power outages are also possible in this area. All right, you've got winter storm watches that are now up for portions of northern Virginia into western Maryland, also into southeastern PA. Where actually in this purple shade now you have winter weather advisories, but in that blue shade, that's where you've got the winter storm watches. Some of these may get upgraded to winter storm warnings, depending on what the models are talking about in terms of snowfall and just impacts in general. All right, now into the Northwest, you've got in the pink shade winter storm warnings. All right, typical mountain snow, but there will be heavy mountain snow, obviously, because you got active storms moving right through this region. In the purple shade, you got winter weather advisories going out here for the Dakotas or South Dakota, through northern Nebraska. All right. Oh, I was gonna sneeze. All right. But you've got also in this purple shade, you've got winter weather advisories going up for the Sierras here of California into that area that we were watching for snow into Oregon. You've also got in that pink shade, obviously, those winter storm warnings as well. All right. So that pretty much takes care of your alerts. We take a look here at the north central United States. We're looking at this oncoming system. I am watching for a few inches of snow in some areas here. All right, so this is the story 8 p.m. today. So this was just about 2 hours ago. You had snow is starting to break out across portions of southern South Dakota into northern Nebraska. I think that this was moderate to heavy at times for some areas, and I think that this will be entering the Lincoln area pretty soon here. All right, and you can see that we've got a pretty nice swath of snowfall here, and so you're well behind this freezing line, so you're pretty much set and ready for snow. But watch as the storm begins to grow, and I think once it does, we're going to start to see more rain on the south side of this. But this is starting out as an all snow event, and it's nothing that if you're a snow lover out here in the north, I mean, you're obviously cold all season long, but you're gonna be good with this one. You're not gonna have to worry about any nearby warm air or anything, all right? And so I think this may have enough moisture to keep going, and that's what this is really depending on, is how much moisture can come up from the Gulf of Mexico. So this is 5 in the morning tomorrow morning. This all times are in Eastern time here. All right. This is 5 in the morning. You've got rain starting to come up here through southern Missouri, but watch for some sleet mixing with heavy snow. Some bands of heavy snow and sleet starting to get into view here in northern Missouri. That's definitely a possibility. And then you've got snow that's starting to become a little bit heavier out there in the northern Kansas, but that snow swath is starting to get a little bit smaller here. But you still got snow falling across central Iowa and then into Illinois, and then we take this out to this is 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Now you've got heavy snow for Western Illinois. I would watch out for this, guys. This is going to reduce visibility. This is what can accumulate pretty quickly, and I don't think that this is going to be wet snow. I think this is going to be that just typical snowfall. All right, but I think all this snow could definitely be heavy for somebody from northeastern Kansas all the way to western Illinois, and that's going to be right around 9 in the morning tomorrow morning. So this would be Central Time. So the time you see here, I believe, is Eastern Time. So for Central Time, this is right around 7 a.m. So a lot of you guys will be waking up to heavy snow, especially if you're in Western Illinois. And we continue throughout the rest of the morning. This just gets a little bit more widespread, but not as heavy. All right. You can see that we're starting to see a little bit of a ridge starting to form. Nothing too crazy. It's not going to be pulling up so much warm air that's going to the storm's going to become negatively tilted. This is still, if this were to be a trough, this would be positively tilted. All right. But you've got snow on the north side of this moving through central Illinois, central into northern Indiana, all right, central and northern portions of Missouri. You got sleet and freezing rain and snow all mixing together right around St. Louis. So I think this would prompt not winter storm watches, but definitely winter weather advisories. If you're south this 540 line, which is where the blue line and this red line meets, you're going to be rain. You're going to stay as rain, but you're going for a mix just to the south of St. Louis, Missouri here, and then you see very heavy freezing rain. And we're not going to talk about accumulations because I just don't think that this band of freezing rain is going to be big enough. But you may be impacted by some heavy freezing rain and heavy sleet. It's possible. All right, out there if you're into southeastern Missouri, it's possible. It just depends on what area you're in, what county you're in. All right. You've got heavy snow. This is light to moderate snow for everybody, into Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. But you've got heavy snow down here, right by where we start to see that rain, snow, and freezing rain, sleet mix. All right. So the time you see here is pretty much mid-afternoon here tomorrow, and we will continue this, and you can see the storm is growing. You got your own central low pressure, so this is definitely it's not a strong storm, but it's not the weakest of storms, and this is organized enough that I think that this could keep going. And you've got thunderstorms there into western Tennessee. This is really all storms for Kentucky, but if you're in northern Kentucky, you may get lucky just behind that cold front where you could get snow accumulations. All right, same thing for Ohio and into central and southern portions of Indiana. All right, now we're getting near the dinner time frame here, getting into tomorrow evening, and then this is tomorrow night. And watch as the snow gets very heavy here across northeastern Kentucky. I would watch out for that just north of that low pressure center. I mean, these would be snowfall rates. I would say up to 2 to 3 inches per hour. It's going to be snowing very heavily, especially for these upper elevations, and then into southern Ohio. Ohio, I think, could definitely pick up a few inches of snow. Same thing for now West Virginia, and then Pennsylvania getting in on the action. And then behind this, you're going to see high pressure dominate this area. Look at this. It's a 1040 1041 millibar low, so 1041 millibars. That's very high pressure, and that just means that you're going to see lots of cold air just get shot down from Canada. And it's going to be dry cold air as well, so this is going to really block any storms from entering this area anytime soon. All right, so snow totals. What are we looking at here? Well, here's that swath of snow. It's significant. All right, here's northern. We'll start here in northern Missouri. All right, you're going for 2 to 4 inches, but somebody out here towards western, if you're closer to western Illinois here, look at this. This is I would say 5 to 7 inches in this light blue shade here. I think that's possible. It's maybe a little bit overdone, but I think it's possible for sure. 2 to 4 inches in this area. Then St. Louis still going for 2 to 4 inches. Central Illinois, possibly, I would say 1 to 2 inches. All right, Southern Illinois. All right, I keep saying Illinois. Southern Missouri is what I'm talking about. That would be, like a coating to an inch, basically. All right, here's more widespread snow, accumulating snow at least here for portions of Illinois. Central Illinois, you'll get a good storm, out of this, 4 to 6 inches at highest, and then into northern Illinois, really 1 to 2 inches. Same thing for southern Illinois, maybe 2 to 4 inches for that high end amount, which again, I think that's possibly overdone here. Some of these totals. But definitely, 6 inches is not out of the picture for somebody out here if it's either western Illinois or northeastern Missouri. All right, let's take this out to Indiana here. Really 2 to 4 inches in general. I don't really see any region specifically that's not going to see somewhere around that range. If you're in extreme northern Indiana, like the far north counties out here, all right, pretty much a coating to an inch. All right. Here's Ohio, 2 to 4 inches there. I think everybody's just going to see 2 to 4 inches for Ohio. So a substantial event, but nothing that's too crazy. Nothing you guys haven't seen out there. All right. I know this winter you guys have been missed a lot. So this is just, and it's coming right for you. It's setting up pretty well. It's just not strong enough to really dump that much snow. But if this were to be a storm system that was capable of doing that, you guys would probably get hammered here. But you guys have just been missed very closely by some big snowstorms this winter. But just, you guys have had a lot of misses, but no hits. All right. Here's northern Kentucky. All right. 2 to 4 inches, but we're flashing 5 inches here. I think that the high end amount for northern Kentucky would be 5 inches. But there you go, right into central and southern Kentucky. You go right back down to a coating to an inch. All right. I forgot to mention northern Kansas here, but 2 to 4 inches is what you could expect. Northeastern Kansas, right around 1 to 2 inches, but generally what you could expect. And then off to West Virginia here. That's where we get into these higher totals. Now we're talking about 5 to 7 inches here. And then everybody else 4 to 6 inches in general. All right. So that takes us to the Northeast. Now we talk about you guys. This storm will be moving out of the Midwest at this point and then off to the Northeast. Well, I just want to talk about this first, which is this storm system that we talked about with that radar. So here it is. It's been bringing a lot of, it's just a low, like a clipper. I don't even know what you would call this, but this is just caught up in some northern stream energy, and this has been drifting really through the Great Lakes region, and that's what's causing this lake effect snow. Nothing too crazy, but some strong winds. You have the wind advisories out. It's just because this northwestern flow is very, very strong. So you've got strong winds coming out of the northwest here that are wrapping around that low pressure center, 1,000 millibar low. All right, but look at this. This is getting into tonight. This is 9 p.m., so this is about an hour ago. You had heavy snow for portions of New England here. This is up towards Vermont, New Hampshire, going through central Mass, all of Connecticut, and then even into Long Island, like across Long Island Sound. I mean, you're getting heavy snow. This is nothing that's going to really accumulate, but definitely, you could stand outside and watch the snow come down. It'll come down pretty heavy for just a few minutes, I would say, before it slowly starts to pull away, and then some just very light flurries getting into the late night hours of tonight and then overnight hours. All right, and then that low is going to move off the coast. And if you're wondering if this is going to turn into any big snowstorm for Maine or Scotia, I don't really see this doing anything. All right, it's just not strong enough. It's very weak. All right. So that was that first system. You've got cold air that's going to be waiting for that second system. That already tells you that snow is going to be the big deal here. All right, and so you can see as this is coming hot. All right, this is 11 p.m. Remember, this isn't Eastern time, so this is local time for you guys, and for us. All right, because I'm out here in Long Island, so talking about my region too. Don't forget that. But you can see we got heavy snow. I mean, this is very, very heavy snow. This would be probably wet snow at this point because you're close to that freezing. You're close to that freezing line. You're close to the rainfall here. This would be very heavy, wet snow for the upper elevations of West Virginia, but even into surrounding areas. I mean, you've just got very heavy snow, and this is probably going to be one of those hardest hit areas where you see these pink shades. Those are extreme snowfall rates of 2 to 3 inches per hour. And you've got heavy snow for Northern Virginia as well. This is heavy wet snow. Same thing for Maryland. You guys will be hit by this system, but it's just not strong enough to be considered, I would say, a major snowstorm. But you've got central and southern Pennsylvania and all of New Jersey getting in on some snow action. And here we go, New York City getting hit again. This is 2 in the morning on, what is this? This is Saturday morning, 2 in the morning. All right, and you've got heavy snow moving through like Baltimore, D.C. getting hit with heavy snowfall. And if this lasts long enough, you may get a few, minor accumulations. And you see light to moderate snowfall all the way up through Delmarva and then New Jersey and all the way up towards Long Island and southern New England before this heads on out. This is still 5 in the morning, Saturday morning. You've got still backside snow that's still trying to move out of these areas. And it's still snowing very lightly out there in southern New England by 8 a.m. on Saturday, and this is finally moving out. And for most of you guys, you'll have a nice coating to a few inches of snow on the ground, but some of you guys may end up with as high as 5, maybe even 6 inches of snow, and that's going to bring us to our next portion of the update. So we look at here snowfall totals for the Northeast, all right? So ignore this up here. This is from that first system, so anybody, I'll draw the line. Let me put this in yellow so you guys can see. All right, 1 second. All right, so I'll draw the line here. Sorry, that was a horrible line. Let me redraw that. All right, anybody that is north of this line here, this is what I want you guys to ignore. These are those totals that are happening. These are those totals that are happening due to this storm system that's moving in right now. All right, but what I want you guys to focus on is anybody farther south. All right, than this line here. All right, so talking about southern Ohio, 2 to 4 inches, but here it is for West Virginia. It's interesting. There's that band that was setting up on the NAM. Well, you see 6 to 8 inches here, and that's interesting to see. And I think that I don't think this is overdone. I think that you may actually end up with up to 8 inches of snow, and then even for the rest of the state here, 4 to 6 inches is the general amount, and then southern West Virginia is still 1 to 2 inches, 1 to 3 inches generally. All right, Northern Virginia, it's going to be a tough one, but we're hanging on still to up to 5 inches of snow if you're way up here into the northern counties of Virginia. So definitely a possibility for that. 5 to 7 inches for Maryland out here. And then here's D.C., 4 to 6 inches. I think it's overdone, but it's possible. It's definitely possible. If you wanted me to tell you the high end amount for D.C., I would say 5 inches. I think that's what you could expect. And then Baltimore, same thing, really up to 5 inches of snow. All right, southern PA, 4 to 6 inches. Central PA, really 2 to 4. Same thing for northern PA. Here's New Jersey. Interesting to see 2 to 4 inches on the NAM. And then for Long Island, New York City, 2 to 4. I would say 1 to 3 inches as well. If you're way out here in the eastern Long Island, 1 to 3 inches. But towards the city, maybe 3 inches at most. But nothing that's going to be really, nothing too crazy. Nothing like what we saw just a few days ago. All right. So, I just want to show you guys these wind gusts real quick. Let me get rid of these markings here on your screen. So, these are wind gusts on the NAM. I don't know what time this is at. This is actually right now. All right, you can see the strongest winds are right around where that low pressure center is with this strong flow. All right, that's really the strongest winds are right off of Lake Erie. All right, Lake Ontario. All right, really gusts between 30 and 40 miles per hour, but you've got strong winds coming up the coastline too. I mean, these obviously off the coastline here, but you've got winds getting up to about 50 miles per hour off the coastline. New York City tonight's going to be breezy, gusty, 30 to 40 miles per hour. All right, same thing up here to well upstate New York, right around the Finger Lakes region, just north near Rochester, Syracuse. We're getting up to near 50 miles per hour, so just some breezy conditions out here, but I do think that these wind advisories will be dropped by tomorrow, at least early tomorrow afternoon. All right. So finally, for the last part of the update, I just want to show you guys the GFS model here, just to look at what we can expect going forward. All right, I think we're going to see warmer times with some cold shots. I think that's the typical pattern that we're going to be in. All right, and you can see that we're really in a dry spell for the central and eastern half of the United States. This is still February 20th. This is 5 days out. We really haven't had any precipitation after this system, and it takes so. I mean, this is 7 days out, and this is 1 week out. We finally get a system. This is a minor 995 millibar low. This time, just bringing rain for everybody out there across the Ohio Valley, interior Northeast. It tries to do something with some backside snow and a oncoming cold front, but we just don't see it. All right, nothing. I haven't seen anything in the past 5 days that's really caught my attention. All right, and that just moves on out. But you've got a big dip in the jet stream at this point. All right, I mean, this is something that always can lead to a snowstorm when you get a big, tall, spiking ridge and then a massive dip in the jet stream here. This would probably bring some very, very cold air in. All right, but I think that system was just bringing up too much warm air for any snow to really break out over any region. And so we see if we get any storm that catches up with this cold air, and just we fail to do that. It's going to get very wet out west, but these storms won't be able to make their way all the way through the United States and into the eastern U.S. I mean, this is very far out, 288 hours out, but we see if there's any storm signal, and there has been a storm signal decently strong here for possibly a dynamic system. All right, very late in February, like the final days of February. All right, but this is something that you don't really have to. You shouldn't ignore it, but you don't have to pay close attention to this, because this is a very far out signal. But there has been a signal on the GFS for a few days of a substantial storm system. All right, right around between the 28th and the 30th of February. All right. So finally, for the last part of the update, we take a look here at your current temperature outlook here based off of the Climate Prediction Center. This is valid for February 23rd to the 29th, so that time frame of that storm system. You can see we're expecting well above average temperatures for the central and eastern United States, while the west will be near normal or below average due to the active storm units out there. All right, but I think we're going to be in a typically just a boring pattern here, and I don't think that we're going to see much, active storms. And, just looking back at what we've seen this winter, I want to recap this winter so far. It's not over, guys. All right, it's not over. All right, a lot of people are thinking about this. What you see on your screen does not mean this above average you see here. This is not equivalent to spring is coming early. This does not say spring is coming early. All right, this just says above average temperatures. All right, winter is not over. There's still chances for snowstorms. I just don't think that winter has really overperformed. All right, but remember when it was back in January, we had that week where we had 3 straight monster snowstorms, 2 in which were blizzards. All right, I mean, that shows you that we still had some big snowstorms. I just, I think after that, because we didn't have so many after that, I think people just started to get tired of winter and just started saying that winter was a bust, winter is over. But no, winter is not over, and I do think we're still going to get another big snowstorm sometime between now and the end of winter. All right, so that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for coming to watch. I'll see you guys next video. All right, enjoy your night, enjoy your day, depending on what time or what day you're watching this video. All right, so I'll keep you guys posted on what we see weather-wise across the country. Let me know your snow totals if you're impacted by that storm system. All comments are appreciated down below. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you all for coming to watch. Have a great weekend, and have a great winter break. All right, so see you guys next.